行くぞはっジェノサイカッタ
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and after that last video I made about the regular fest characters, I thought we'd talk about the gold border characters and which one of these characters could be the most useful for you to level up and build, and as to why. Now, what you're going to be looking for when it comes to gold border characters is characters that have one of two things. Either they have some really good survivability, like built-in heals, or whether they have some super armor in their kit. These characters are going to be a lot easier to play with and work with whenever you're dealing with them in RHD, because if they have native super armor, they're not going to get interrupted. You could always give them a healing striker. If they don't have super armor, you could always manipulate that by giving them, like, cards that offer super armor, option card, KS set, or you could just give them a super armor striker. So there's ways to manipulate characters if they don't have one or the other. But if they don't have either of them, they're not going to be as good, right? They're going to be harder to work with as far as RHD. And remember, when it comes to RHD, Reviving Hell's Dungeon, that you needed a purple attack and defensive team, you need a green defensive and balanced team, you need a blue defensive and blue attack team, you need a red balanced and red defensive team, and a yellow attack and yellow defensive team. So that's something to always keep in mind. We're going to be excluding all of the collaboration characters because a lot of players don't have those characters. Just like in the last video, we're just going to talk about the regular gold border characters that are always available in the game. I'm not going to go over every single one of these characters. I'm just going to go over the characters that I feel are pretty relevant and can really help you out a lot in the game. Lady Yashiro, you need a purple attack team. She's got a great leadership. She has dot explosions. She's really good for Immortal Most. Very good character to level up. Yuri there, really good for your blue defensive team. She has built-in super armor, which is really nice. Really good character used for it. I actually used her in RHD. Swimsuit Mary, very, very good. She has dot explosion. She's actually can be really good against Immortal Most or Immortal Nyx. And honestly, Lady Yashiro could be used against Immortal Nyx as well. Then we scoot along. You have lovely Alice here. Alice here is actually really great for her leadership, the increased red element fighter by 65%. She also has the super armor in her kit, which is really nice. The only bad thing about the character is she's a red attack, but she could be used in some of your low-cost clears in the Epic Quest, which is actually really good. And then you have Swimsuit K. Swimsuit K has dot explosion. He's going to be similar to Swimsuit Mary. He could actually be really useful. If you have K's new 3PG, that would be absolutely insane. Shazura is actually really good for Immortal Vulcan if really well built. She's a blue type. She has a type advantage. She's also a blue defensive character. And she's one of them characters, like, if you're using her in RHD, you can use her, but she doesn't have any native super armor, but she does have a lot of heals. So that is something to keep in mind about this character. And so you could use her in there just as long as you have a super armor striker. She'd actually be really good. But she's actually really good against Immortal Vulcan on the second team because she actually has a lot of heals and a great leadership. And I'm going to be skipping over some of these characters because, again, I'm just not going to go into too much detail. There's just some characters really shine more than others. Halloween Kula is actually really good for Immortal Typhon because she has freeze. Something else to keep in mind about, when you're looking at some of your characters, look at whether or not they got some kind of CC effect. If they got stun, if they have freeze, these things really help characters because it actually will slow down your other opponents, lock them down in place, or, if you stun them, you can actually juggle them. Stuns are actually really, really good. And there's going to be characters that I'm probably going to gloss over that actually could be useful for you and that some players do use. But I'm just going over the characters that I feel are just really the most relevant, the most helpful for you. You got Halloween Shermie here. I believe Halloween Shermie here, she has a heal, so you could actually give her a super armor striker, and she'd actually be really good for your blue defensive team. She's actually a character that you could level up. She actually could be good for the Immortal Vulcan. I have seen people use this character to do the free-to-play clears against Immortal Vulcan, so she's actually a really great choice. And you could use it for RHD. And then you have Jeanette here. Jeanette's actually insanely good. She has native super armor. She might need a heal, if anything, but she is so good. Her first skill just does tons and tons of hits. She's just a massive, massive character. Love her. And you could also use it for low cost. And she's a red character, right? That's a character that I strongly think is going to be really good for Episode 2 against Zero, against Chapter 210, because she's such a strong and good character. Mei Lee's actually got a great leadership. She's also yellow attack. She doesn't have any native super armor or a heal. That's kind of the thing that's bad about the character. So, she's going to maybe take damage. But if you're, she might be all right, but I don't know how good she's going to be past tier 40 in all honesty and RHD. And then we kind of scoot along a little bit. And then we have Lovely Mei Lee. Lovely Mei Lee is actually really good for your green defensive team for RHD. She's actually quite strong. She has built-in super armor in her kit, so if you want to increase her survivability, then maybe have a heal on her. I mean, this character actually would be pretty insane for RHD, plus she can ignore guard. Really strong character. Swimsuit Mai is actually really good as a striker, especially in Epic Quest against Shizu. And we kind of scoot along a little bit here. And we got Rio. Rio is actually a really good character because he has great leadership for purple fighters. He's a purple attack. You can use him in RHD. It's really the only place he's going to be useful, but he can have a super armor all the time. So all you got to do is give him a healing striker, and he's going to have a lot of good survivability. You can maybe even use him for your cost 60 and the Epic Quest. Rio is actually a really good character. I used him for quite a while in the very beginning of the game. And then we scoot along a little bit more, and we have a yellow defensive baseball Shermie. Again, good leadership for defensive fighters. But she does have built-in super armor, right? And she has a stun. Stuns are really, really awesome in the RHD especially. And that's really where you're going to use a character like this. Because, stuns, whenever a character's stunned, you can actually throw them up in the air and juggle them. Whereas, like, when they're frozen, they're just locked in place. You can't juggle them around. When you can juggle your opponents in the air, that really does big difference. Especially if you have your awakened skill and you start spamming your skills. You can keep them airborne and they can't get out of it, right? They can't interrupt you as you're doing it. So being able to juggle characters is actually really, really important. And then we kind of scoot along here. We have a red defensive character in swimsuit, Angel. Angel's actually got built-in super armor. She also has a stun, right? This could be a decent character for your red defensive team in RHD. Then you have Vanessa in Wonderland, a character for your green balance team in RHD. You could absolutely use this character. She has some kind of stun effect, whether it's stun, freeze, or petrify. She also has super armor in her kit. She could be a character that you could use. However, you probably have to use a healing striker for her to give her a little extra survivability when you're playing with her in RHD. I mean, there's a lot of characters that actually could be very useful for you. I think this character here has... No. She doesn't have any super armor. Probably not going to be the best choice in all honesty. I mean, anytime you have a character and you're just a quality player, you can make characters work if you really want them to. But again, you're looking for characters that either have super armor or they have, a good form of survivability with heals. Those are going to be the best ones that you're going to use for RHD. You got Mary here. Happy Valentine's Day, Mary, who does have super armor in her kit. So you could use her in RHD up until like tier 30 or a little bit past tier 30. As a character, because I mean, all you're gonna have to do is give her a healing striker, and then you have Orochi. You could use Orochi here. That you actually get Orochi from the Epic Quest. He's a green balance fighter. You can use him for your green balance team in RHD. This is a character that you can always get memories for in the exchange shop. Plus, he has native super armor in his kit, which is actually really nice, and he has a heal. This is actually a really good character for RHD. Plus, you can get a 3PG from the Epic Quest. Orochi is actually really one of the best characters for people that are trying to have that green balance team in RC. And as far as cost, he's a cost 59, so you can even use him for your low cost clears. However, against chapter 210, against Zero, he's not going to work because he's a green fighter. That's going to be a big downfall to the character. And another really good choice is Bao. Bao can actually be good for your red defensive team. Bao actually gets a lot of native super armor when you're playing with him. He's a cost 56. He's actually a really good character. You might have to give him a healing striker to increase his survivability, but he's actually, he just doesn't get interrupted very easy. He's actually a very strong character. And there are other characters on this list that probably could be very useful, but those are really some of the best ones that you could use. I mean, AG here is actually really good. He has native super armor, lots of bleed. He's a character that you could absolutely use for your green balance team in RHD. Krauser is another one. I don't have Krauser, but he's another one that actually has native super armor in his kit that actually could be used. I mean, there are players that use characters that people just consider not that good, right? But that's because, it's all an RNG crapshoot as far as, what characters you're actually getting. How many memories for that character you're actually getting. I mean, pretty much whenever you're leveling up characters for RHD, you're just trying to, keep progressing by leveling up this character, then leveling up that character, and just keep adding them on onto your team so you can keep progressing in RHD. I mean, some people, they're going to use Clark here. I mean, Clark does have hyper armor in his kit. This is a really good character to use for RHD. He's a blue attack. He's a terrific character to use for RHD. It sucks that he's a blue because a character like this would be freaking awesome for those low cost clears against Chapter 210 against Zero, but the fact that he's a blue, you won't be able to use him. You need a red, a yellow, or a purple, which sucks. And there are other characters that you can absolutely use in here, but those are really some of the best ones in my opinion to use for RHD. I mean, really you could use any of these characters. You can manipulate any of these characters to be able to get it done. You can absolutely, like if they don't have super armor, you can give them, you know, certain card sets where you can give them some super armor. You can give them a Chaos set. It does, even if they're attack type fighters, say, and they don't have super armor. Once they have the Chaos set on them and they tag in, they're going to have 5 seconds of super armor. You can start guard breaking your opponent, interrupt their skills, start juggling them, throwing them in the air, or just build up your PG, do your 3 PG or 5 PG or whatever it may be. I mean, you got option cards that can use it. You can use like this set right here can also give you some super armor. You got a 15% chance to gain super armor. With this set right here, you have option cards that can give you super armor. Some of these option cards will give super armor if characters have low survivability. If they have super armor built in the kit and you're using them, but they're taking a lot of damage, you could always give them healing strikers. I mean, there's, like I said earlier, there are just ways to manipulate your characters to give them certain effects to where they actually can do really, really well in RHD for you. So hopefully this will shed some light as far as, you know, which gold characters are actually really decent to level up and use in certain game modes in the game. And let me know the gold border characters that you think are really good. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.